Our channel is pleased to bring you the most special episodes of the hit TV series Beyond the Gates, where all secrets, conspiracies and pains are exposed without mercy. This week, viewers will be unable to take their eyes off the screen when a shocking incident occurs right at the heart of the Dupree family. The following story will make your heart clench with surprise, pain and uncontrollable anger. A tragedy has occurred, and its consequences can change the entire situation of power within this powerful family. Haley suddenly collapsed in the bathroom at the Dupree mansion, when the morning light had just filtered through the thick curtains, shining dimly on the cold tiles. Everything happened so quickly. Without a sound, without any warning signs. Her body collapsed to the tiled floor like a lifeless doll. The noise that echoed in the quiet space caused the staff in the house to rush over in panic. And in an instant, the entire villa was in chaos. Her breathing was weak, her complexion was pale, her eyes were half open for a moment and then completely closed, not responding to any calls. The nightgown had a light blood stain on the lower part, making everyone around her even more panicked. They immediately called an ambulance. And the ambulance sped down the avenue to take her to the hospital. No one dared to think of the worst. At the hospital, the medical team quickly performed first aid, checked her blood pressure, heart rate, and performed an emergency ultrasound. While the nurses were busy preparing for a blood transfusion, the doctors tried to keep her awake. But not long after, the medical conclusion was given like a cold and unforgiving verdict: Haley had a miscarriage. The pregnancy had not been made public, but deep down, it was the only hope. The only connection she believed would help her keep something solid in her gradually falling apart life. The loss of her child was not only a heavy blow to her body, which was already exhausted from stress and pressure, but also a psychological scar that made her completely collapse. The bad news was quickly reported to Bill, who had just left home a few hours ago for an important meeting. When he received the call from the hospital, he seemed to be stunned. His face was pale. His hands were shaking so much that he dropped the phone on the floor. Feelings of anger, anxiety and guilt flooded his head like a violent storm that he could not control. He immediately left everything behind, rushed to the hospital in a state of uncontrollable rage, his face burning with anger, his eyes red with resentment. No one dared to approach him in the hospital hallway when they saw him like that. Bill's mind was filled with questions that had no answers. Why did Haley collapse? Why didn't she tell him sooner? Who was the last person to see her before everything happened? When he entered the hospital room and saw Haley lying motionless with tubes all over her body, Bill felt as if everything in his heart was broken. Although he had never said it out loud, he knew how important the child was to her and to him. The loss was not simply an accident. It was like a deep, irreparable wound between two people who once thought they could overcome any difficulty. But Bill's anger was not just directed at the circumstances or fate, but also at someone he suspected was behind it all, someone who might have pushed Haley to the brink of despair, excessive stress, or even directly caused the incident by some action that was still unclear. Bill began to request that the hospital thoroughly examine all the medical factors that could have led to Haley's condition, from the quality of her medications, her pregnancy history, to her previous symptoms. He requested a toxicology test, CCTV monitoring of the villa, and asked for security to be tightened in the hospital room. In his mind, the incident was no longer a simple slip or medical accident, but a sign of a conspiracy or fatal negligence. His anger spread like wildfire, burning away all reason. Bill immediately put Haley on the suspect list for anyone who had recently had conflicts with her. He kept wondering if someone had intentionally pressured her, had a threat, a confrontation, or some kind of conspiracy caused her to fall into a state of stress that led to this heartbreaking outcome. During the hours when Haley was still unconscious, Bill quietly arranged for a private investigation, hiring a professional private investigation team to examine every corner of Haley's recent life. Every call, every meeting, every social media message was carefully analyzed. He refused to accept anything as a mere accident, because he understood that Haley was a careful person, although emotionally weak. She had never let herself fall into such a dangerous situation. He suspected that someone had taken advantage of her mental instability, or worse, had done it in a sophisticated way that could not be detected by the naked eye. Not only Bill, but other close members of the Dupree family were also gradually caught up in the vortex of suspicion and confusion. Some members expressed their condolences, while others began to secretly blame each other. The atmosphere in the Dupree mansion became so tense that it was suffocating. Everyone had their own fears, and no one really knew who was hiding something. Because behind the glamorous appearance of this family was a network of intricate relationships, simmering conflicts and dark secrets that had accumulated for a long time. Meanwhile, Haley had not yet woken up. Doctors were concerned about the possibility of nerve damage or psychological trauma after the shock of losing a child. They kept her in the intensive care unit, closely monitoring her every heartbeat and vital signs. Bill barely left the hospital, sitting for hours by her bedside, his eyes never leaving her pale face. But in his heart, the anger was still not gone. He had lost control over many things before, but this time, he could not accept the fact that someone might have caused him to lose his unborn child. And if it was true, Bill vowed not to forgive. He would not stop until he found the person responsible. From the hospital, the news began to spread. The media began to stir, online newspapers, social media accounts specializing in the upper class raced to report the news. People began to question Haley's health, the real cause behind the collapse. And there were even rumors that this was no ordinary accident. Some people thought that Haley was suffering the consequences of past conspiracies. Others guessed that this was the price of secrets she had tried to hide for so long. Either way, this event created a shockwave in the community that had always followed the Dupree family's every move. And in the darkness, where whispers became more dangerous than straight stabs, someone was watching the developments from afar. A cold look, a smile flickering at the corner of the lips, this person knows exactly what happened. And perhaps, he is waiting for the right moment to appear, to launch the next part of the plan that is still secretly taking place. A plan that will not only cause Haley to miscarry, but also cause the entire Dupree family to collapse in tragedy and hatred. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the next shocking developments of Beyond the Gates. The tragedy has not stopped, the truth is still hidden. And a great storm is gradually forming in the hearts of those who seemed invincible.